All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to yet another episode of the VGF Strat Corner podcast, where we look at Tekken and anything Tekken related. Been a couple weeks as usual since our last podcast. We're getting really close to the end of the list. Only 5 characters left, and we're going to get one done today, so we only got 4 left. Tekken Tag 2 is right on our heels. We only have a couple months left until that's going to be released. So, who knows how much I'll be able to get to the redos on some of the older podcasts that weren't really up to the standard that I would like them to be. But we'll see what happens. We're going to take a little bit of a different twist with this episode. We're obviously we're doing Baek, so we're going to look at him like we normally talk about our characters. But we're also going to talk a little bit more about Tag 2 than we usually do, specifically as it pertains to this character. And hopefully over the next few podcast we'll be able to do that, so we can start looking into the crystal ball and get a little bit of a head start on the Tag 2 project. So without further ado, then I'd like to introduce my guest here. Pretty well known Baek player, I would say. He was at the Doc Massacres Invitational. Fun times there for anybody who watched that. So with that, I'll introduce him. Tick, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Scott, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So this is actually the second time that we've done this by phone. The last one was Ogre, and we caught him in the middle of traffic. But I don't think we're going to get any road rage on this podcast. But, I'm glad that we can at least get you on. So first things first, just like with every other guest, I like to give a little bit of a background for those who, maybe don't know who you are. You've been around the scene for a while. I've, chatted with you and whatnot, and been with you at many tournaments since we live not too far away. But just kind of give everybody out there like a little bit of a brief synopsis of the career and the life of Tick. I believe you started with Tekken, but I could be wrong, so I'll just let you go from there.
No, Scott, you're right. I did start with Tekken. I think by most standards, I am a seasoned veteran in the Tekken scene. I began playing tournament competitive Tekken back in 2000, in the summer of that year when I was 15. So I do have a lot of experience in Tekken. I've been in and out of the scene throughout the years. Particularly when a new game comes out, I'll pick it up. Haven't really stuck around. I never played 4. I spent $1 on Tekken 4, and it was a beta, and that was it. So I stuck with Tag all the way through till 5, which I didn't plan on playing until I saw Baek was the second time release character, at which point I raced to the arcade and picked up right where I left off. About 2010, early on, I picked up my new PS3, picked up Tekken 6, and MLG was just announced, so figured it was a good idea to hit the tournament scene again. And next thing I knew, I was knee-deep, and I think Tekken 6 by far is the best Tekken. I mean, hooked me right away. It's a game I love and pretty passionate about. So I don't really play any other fighters. This is my only fighting game I play. I used to play Halo competitively, a little Dance Dance Revolution competitively, which is a little strange to some, but that happened.
Oh, no, I don't think it's strange. I think there's a lot of people out there who are closet DDR freaks. So.
Oh, yeah, and I was actually good at DDR as opposed to Tekken back in the day. But the people in DDR now far surpass my talent, so that's their game now.
Hey, we're getting old, what can you say?
That's true. We got to worry about our reaction time.
Yeah, we don't want to break a hip playing some kid's game, so. Well, that's excellent information. You're a Tekken purist. No other game is gonna get in your way or dilute your gaming experience. I did want to ask you real quick. So because we had, I believe it was the last podcast where we had Mr. Taxi on, and he was at the Invitational too. How did you enjoy that? Because that was a very new thing. It was, kind of out there. Very few, obviously it was an invitational, so only a very few number of people were there. Did you enjoy that? Was it a fun experience? How was that?
I will be honest, Scott, and I'll tell you that tournament was the most fun tournament I have ever played in. Now, I understand that there were some issues with the stream, and we kind of got off to a late start, and I really, really wish that the atmosphere was captured on tape, because it was phenomenal. I mean, we had about 20 to 25 people in the room, even though it was only an 8-man tournament. But I think the hype leading up to this tournament, people were so excited to see something different. And obviously it's not conveyed in the videos, but every move anybody was doing and landing was, causing a huge uproar in the room. It was the most intense matches I've played. And, yeah, easily by far the most fun I've ever had playing a video game. So I think the idea of the tournament was great. I mean, it's cool to put over a decade of work into a character and finally get a little bit of national recognition from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was worth it. And, Ling Massacre, who was kind enough and gracious enough to put it all together, paid for my flight out there, gave us a place to stay. It was a fantastic weekend.
That's excellent. Yeah, I've even when I talked to Mr. Taxi a little bit about it, like just everything about it just seemed really awesome. I mean, it's all a novel idea and plan. And I remember talking to Ling Massacre about it, and he said specifically to me, he's like, the purpose of this tournament is to get good players, but I don't want to get people who are already sponsored. I don't want to get those kinds of people. I want to get people who are playing the game not just to win, but to, like, how exactly did he phrase it? Like, what's that?
Well, it's a little bit of flashiness, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with a Baek. For the educated, you can tell what's going on, but many people who play against Baek, which is what makes him as strong of a character as he is that they have a hard time following his strings and cancels. So, and I think the nature of the tournament, we had all those different characters. We had Yoshi, we had an Asuka, we had, I don't even remember, Lei, a lot of different stance characters. It was pretty unique.
Nice. Well, since you kind of opened the door there for Baek, I guess we can just kind of jump right into T6 Baek. So I'm glad you brought that up, because whenever I watch not just you, but any Baek player play, and they're playing against somebody, and that person happens to beat the Baek player, it always seems to be how well can you follow those cancels? Do you know when to duck? Do you know when to sidestep? Do you know where you can interrupt with something? So I guess further elaborate on that a little bit. Like, do you think that is the core of the character? Like, as long as you know how to do that, you can beat him, you can get around him?
I do agree with that for the most part. I think Baek, overall, generally speaking, he is basically a mid-tier character who can do some damn good damage, which is really what a lot of characters in T6 fall under. I think if you don't know Baek and how to play against him, he can be, if not the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous characters in the game, based on his ability to mix up, pull throws out of a Flamingo stance. He's got a low move, which can be difficult to see coming out of Flamingo or different strings, that I get a 78 damage juggle off of. So if you don't know Baek, you're at a disadvantage, period. Now, if you do know Baek, it can be very difficult for that Baek player to win. There are many holes in his strings, particularly a lot of highs that can be stuff launched. He lacks, other than that sweep, he lacks a really good, scary low. So, yeah, I mean, if you learn how to play against Baek and know where to sidestep, where to duck, you're going to really make that Baek player work hard to win. And, if you're going against somebody who has a lot of Baek experience, it's not easy to be creative and come up with ways to win all the time.
So let's, as a Baek player then, for those who are trying to pick him up, let's talk a little bit about that pressure. So obviously you're the Baek player, you know where the holes are, but you're still trying to generate pressure. So what strings are you doing? How are you going about that? Because I would imagine that you're not, Baek, it doesn't come off to me as a character that's ultra defensive. So how are you starting your pressure, and then what are you doing to maintain it?
Well, I guess I like to get a feel for how much my opponent understands Baek, and if he doesn't see the holes. So I will use the crappy strings, or what some people say is crappy. Perhaps it's crappy on paper. But I will go ahead and use those strings and see if they know how to punish or get around them. So the kind of strings I'm looking for are down 4, 3, 3, for instance. Now this on paper looks terrible. It's negative. It's punishable on every hit after the first. You can sidestep the last hit. The last ender mix-up between the mid and the low is not very strong. Not a great move, but if you just throw out down 4, 3, 3 and see what happens, the vast majority of players are not going to punish this. Or even just down 4, 3, that's a negative 13. So I'll just keep throwing that. I get a little low poke. There's a mid poke in there, and if they don't punish it, then I'll just keep doing it. Another string I'm thinking of is wild standing or down forward 1, 3. It's a mid high, and if you're playing somebody who knows what to do against Baek, they're going to duck that high and launch you, and you're going to be screwed. But the move is actually +2, I believe, on block. So it leaves you in a pretty good spot. Let me verify that first. Yeah, +1 or +2 on block, so you do have advantage. So that's another string that allows me to keep pressure on. 2, 3, which is just a simple jab into Flamingo stance. That's your 10-frame jab, and it's even on block, and you can continue pressure offense from there. That'll put you in a Flamingo stance, from which point you can do down back 3 or Flamingo stance 3, 3, a number of other pokes. So I will always throw those moves out there, kind of in the hopes that they don't know how to do it. But I'm okay with tossing a round or two, in order to make sure that they know how to beat my shenanigans, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the down 4 string, because I played Baek a lot in T5 because kind of just like you, I'm sure, when everyone found out that he was one of the time release characters, and that they were making all these changes to him, like, holy shit, he's got this new sweep and blah blah blah. Everybody wanted to play him, and I kind of kept up with that in T6 because I do think he's a fun character to play. And whenever I do play him, one of the first things I do is I mess with that down 4 string and see if they know what to do about it. And, you mentioned after, kind of stopping after the second 3, but I actually like to finish it and see what they do, because it's super, super punishable if you block the very last 3. But, you can cancel it into Flamingo. So most people, if they're not used to it, they see it as this 50-50 mix-up. Either you're going to finish it, and if I decide to do anything, it's going to hit me, or you're going to cancel it into Flamingo, and in which case I can interrupt. But it's actually a lot easier to get around that than just that simple 50-50. So I like to see how much, people can deal with that sort of stuff. But with that being said, though, let's assume that, your player is at least somewhat knowledgeable and knows how to get around that. What are some better strings for the Baek player to use that are actually, legit good and not good just because your character or your opponent doesn't know about it?
Well, I think the important thing to understand about Baek is that he does have a lot of strings, and a lot of them are useful against people who don't know what they're doing. But Baek is also a very strong poking character, where you don't have to rely on strings. So if I'm trying these strings and I'm finding that the opponent is getting around them and hurting me for it, I will probably stop using strings. He has strong enough of a poke Flamingo cancel game that I feel like I can chip an opponent away. And I think the damage structure in Tekken favors Baek's playstyle. So, let's start with, punishers, for instance, okay? So if I throw 2-2, which is, a standard 10-frame punisher, I get 32 damage on hit. 4-3, which is an 11-frame punisher, I get the same damage, 32, but I can also cancel it into Flamingo and have a frame advantage mix-up.
I love the 4-3, by the way, because I used to main Law, and one of his big punishers is 4-3 into DSS cancel, so it just felt really natural going into 4-3 Flamingo. It's like, okay, I get my punisher, my damage plus mix up. What's up?
Right. So if I'm not going to be able to just sit here and hit buttons and throw strings out, I'm going to go for the little poke moves. And if I'm going to start my offense with Baek, it's going to be probably a quick move into a Flamingo stance, such as the 2-3 that I mentioned. Another big one, and probably my favorite, is down back 3-3 into Flamingo stance, which is a low kick, and then a high kick that's canceled, and where Baek ends up in Flamingo stance. So if I do down back 3-3 and cancel it, if that down back 3 hits, I'm now in your face with a frame advantage. So to me, that's a great offensive starter. And often when I go into Flamingo, there's several options I tend to stick to. He has really good mid pokes from Flamingo. Standard Flamingo 3-3, which is 33 damage on hit, I think is one of his best moves in the game. It tracks both directions. It's safe on block, and there's the threat of the low 4 afterwards. So even if they block it, yeah, they're at 8 frames of advantage, but chances are, there's kind of that phantom window because they're still scared of a low.
Yeah.
And so even though they get a frame advantage, they're probably not going to attack. But going back to offensive starters, another thing too is just 1-2-3, which forward, which would be 2 jabs into Flamingo stand. Sometimes just running up and doing that and putting pressure on him, can start a good game.
Yeah.
Down 3, a basic low kick, very standard. You can do down 3-3, which is 2 quick low kicks. Most players aren't really going to block that second, and if they do, they're probably going to look for the mix-up and not punish the second hit.
Well, and that's I know at least for older players, that's actually fairly new thing, because in the past, if you hit the first 3 of snake kicks, that very first kick, the second one was guaranteed on both regular and counter hit. But but now you can block it, even if the first one hits, it has to be counter hit.
Yeah, and there's, I think that's a fair change they made today, because 2 lows on a 15 frame down 3 is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a change. But more pokes that I'll use, down forward 4-4, I believe is, if not his best attack, it's probably his second or third best. Basically 2 quick mid kicks, safe, guaranteed on counter hit for a natural combo. And plus, if you do get that counter hit, you can cancel into Flamingo after the second hit, and once again, you're in their face with a frame advantage. Another move that is really underrated, and I think even by most Baek players, just his standard 4-4. To me, this move is sensational. First of all, his right kick is 11 frames, so it's in the the top tier of counter hit 4s, and he gets an easy ass juggle off of it. So if I land a right kick counter, all I have to do is keep right kick held down and hit 3. What that gives me is 3+4, which I can cancel into Flamingo and then continue a juggle. It's extremely easy. A lot of characters, you have to, you get the right kick counter, then you got to run up and dash jab, and there's none of that with Baek. Almost from every range, he can hit that combo. But the second 4, going back to 4-4, is delayable. So if I whiff a right kick, a lot of times this will bring an opponent in, because I do throw a lot of right kicks looking for counter hits. With given ease of big right kick counter juggle, given his strong wall carry and his strong juggle damage, I'm going for that right kick a lot. So a lot of times if I whiff it, I'll delay that second one, and they'll come in and attack, and I get a counter hit, which puts them face down, and I get a free down too. And it's safe on block too. It's a high mid. The move is, I think, it's almost too good, and I think Baek players need to abuse the shit out of it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. You mentioned the the Magic 4 nonsense, and but we pretty much held to the theory that in order to be considered a top tier character or even close to top tier, you have to have a Magic 4 or something like it, because it's just that good of a counter hit tool. And the fact that he has something in addition, something after the 4 to make you a little bit more nervous, that's even more stuff. So, I'm glad, not to backtrack too much, I'm glad you mentioned the down back 3, because I know at least people who play against Baek, I'm sure that they hate that fucking move. I mean, it's so annoying.
It's a great move.
Yeah.
First of all, down to the 3-3, just the 2-hit string is a natural combo, and it gives me 25 damage, and that's a low high. Down back 3 is looks like 18 frames. So usually I cancel after I hit the low move, down back 3.
Yeah, and
but if it's like around or something and I'm looking for the kill, I'll go ahead and finish the string. Yeah, after you finish it, you're at like 3 frames disadvantage, so you don't want to attack afterwards. But, I mean, you get pretty decent damage and a natural combo off of a low, which I think is great.
Yeah, and if it's a round finisher, definitely. But yeah, if it hits though, and you go into Flamingo, it's +8, which is just crazy advantage. So I would have to imagine that that's got to be top 3 most hated moves if people had to vote on them for Baek. So.
Oh yeah, and you can open up a long set of strings with this. So. When I say strings, I guess I'm referring more to custom strings, cancels into other strings. So after a down back 3-3, and I'm in Flamingo, and you're right, it's a +8. So my options at this point, basically anything 18 or 17 frames or less, I know I'm not going to get countered on. So after I hit that low and cancel into Flamingo, at this point I can go low again. And many players, I mean, a lot of guys will just stand there and eat 3 or 4 lows. And I'll just keep doing down back 3-3 cancel, down back 3-3 cancel over and over.
Yeah.
Now, if people start going for the low parry or blocking, I'll do down back 3-3 cancel. And then he's got that bevy of mid moves, so I can do Flamingo 3-3. One of my favorites, though, is forward 2-1. So what forward 2-1 is a mid-high poke. And it's delayable, and it's hit confirmable. So if I hit forward 2, I have all day to hit confirm that 1. Forward 2-1 on its own is a natural combo and gives 26 damage. You can't be too late on the hit confirm. It'll always hit. And then after that 1, you actually have 2 options, but it's a high or a low. So you'll very rarely see me use those. I will use those if I've been using forward 2-1 a lot and never following up. Sometimes you can catch them off guard with that low at the end. Or perhaps if they block that second 1, the second hit of the string, sometimes they'll try attacking, and you can catch them with the high and fuck them up. So
nice. Well, so one thing that we should discuss since we're talking a lot about it is the Flamingo stance. And there's actually 2 things that I want to talk about that. First, since we're kind of already on the subject of the offensive tools and stuff, you just mentioned doing forward 2-1 out of stance. But other than forward 2-1, like let's say you just run up and do something small and real simple, like a 1-2-3 into Flamingo. What sorts of things would you do after that? Like let's say that they blocked it. What would you be looking for?
Well, I think it's a pretty general rule with Baek that if you hit the opponent going into Flamingo stance, you're going to be in an advantage. If they block the move before you go into Flamingo stance, you're at a disadvantage and you're in trouble because you can't block. So something like 1-2-3, that will leave you negative. And I'm talking about 1-2-3 forward, which is the cancel into Flamingo.
Yeah.
It will leave you negative. So any attack I do after that is going to be pretty subtle. I might do a panic down 1, a down 4. I might try to sidestep. I might just try to jab again. Or another big thing I'll do is go for that Flamingo throw. Baek has 1 throw out of Flamingo stance, and it's a 1+2 break. And it's actually really fast. Part of the reason it looks fast is because the notation for the move is forward 2 tilde 3. So you can hit forward 2, instantly put in 3 after that, and you get a throw. So what happens is he actually starts the animation for the forward 2 for the first couple of frames. But if you hit the 3 within those frames, he'll change the animation into a throw. And the throw comes out really quick, especially out of Flamingo stance. And unless they're looking for it, they're not going to break it. Now, of course, once they learn to look for it, it's probably going to get broken well over half the time because there's only the 1 break. So generally, if I go into Flamingo stance, I'm looking for maybe another low poke, a mid poke, or possibly a throw. If I'm feeling like the guy is never ducking and he does not have any knowledge about Baek, maybe I'll continue to throw jab strings, and keep him on the defensive.
Just hope that he thinks that you're in advantage all the time.
Right. I think a lot of with Baek is psychological. I mean, you can sense when you're playing as Baek and the other guy is scared. That you can kind of smell blood and just pretty much hit buttons at that time. So it's one reason I would encourage if there's an intermediate level Tekken player out there who's really looking to place at a high tournament, I would suggest picking Baek up. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, maybe they tried to use Baek back in Tekken Tag and they didn't, the cancels were too hard and he wasn't good enough. What they probably don't realize is that the execution for Flamingo moves with Baek since Tekken Tag has been simplified to the point where, it feels like a child can do it. I mean, when you look back at Tekken Tag, if you want to do a down 3, just a standard low kick, you had to hold 3 the entire time you were in Flamingo stance. You had to hold forward, could not let go of forward, and you had to circle the pad or the stick down to down, and then while holding left kick, hit right kick.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And you had to have the timing right, and then you don't even get that great of a move. So now, and then they made it a little easier in Tekken 5, but now in Tekken 6, if you're in Flamingo stance and you're just standing on a foot, you can let go of all the buttons, everything on the controller, hit down 3 and get a low kick.
Yeah.
So, the timing is much more relaxed on his juggles. You don't have to be as precise. There's really a lot of advantages to just learning Baek and being able to rush people down with it. My first big tournament I played in was in Iowa back in April of 2010. This is the first big tournament I played in Tekken 6, I should say. I played 6th because I was just able to basically scare people and pound them down.
Nice. So this kind of speaking of the whole tag issue and stuff, one thing I wanted to ask you about, just because it's kind of, what's the word? I want to say it's kind of not known. That's a wrong word, but it's kind of a staple of Baek, and that's the triple sidestep. Sidestep, Flamingo, sidestep. So it looks like that's still pretty viable in T6, but how much are you using the back 3 as a defensive tool, like as a sidestep tool? Is it still as good as it once was, or how is it?
I think the triple sidestep in Tekken Tag was really good, but it wasn't very consistent. I think it's still similar to that in Tekken 6. It is pretty good. For those listening, the notation for the triple sidestep would be sidestep right, back 3, sidestep right. So what this does is cancel the first sidestep with a Flamingo stance, which has a natural sidestep to the right. And then as soon as you get in a Flamingo stance, you can sidestep again. So if you're playing a character who uses a lot of strings, who you feel is very offensive and not using very many tracking moves, go ahead and try it. If you're feeling under pressure, if you get a Flamingo sidestep and they're doing a string, you will very likely be at their back. And then Baek has a ridiculous back turn combo, which is Flamingo stance 3-4-4-3, which trips them up. Then you can do while standing 2-1 to get the bind, and then finish it off with a while standing 4-4-4, which is, I believe, 107 damage.
Yeah, which is a ton. So,
yeah, the reward for landing a successful triple sidestep is enormous, and sometimes it's worth it. I mean, especially if you're in a situation where you're low in life and your opponent is not. You kind of feel a little desperate. You're feeling under pressure. Fuck it, go for a triple sidestep. Honestly, it's really a panic thing. I can't say I plan and say, I'm going to triple sidestep here. Granted, there are many strings that are sidesteppable to the right, which will allow Baek to utilize that. But for the most part, I'm reading the opponent and waiting for him to go into attack mode again before I, would consider doing that. Because, if I'm a couple character lengths away and I just decide to triple sidestep for no reason, then I'm kind of fish out of water and I can't block. So,
gotcha.
Try not to rely too much on it, but it's something that's always in the back pocket.
Gotcha. So when it comes to just sidestepping, just as a defensive tool, do you prefer, if you're going to go to the right, do you prefer doing naked sidestep, or do you like doing back 3 more?
Well, I think most of Baek's attacks can be done out of Flamingo stance. Mm-hmm. So if I'm really trying to evade a move, if I'm sidestepping to the right, I'm probably going to do a back 3 also. I think as a Baek player, it's definitely more hardwired in my brain to always sidestep right because of that, the natural triple sidestep. So, there's a lot of characters in the game where you're better off stepping left against. Mishimas, for instance, I think pretty widely known you want to try and step Mishimas to the left if you can. So against a Mishima player, I may not bust the triple sidestep out. And that's just a, character by character basis.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's see. We're talking about Flamingo defense. God, I had a question, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, so just real quick, because we were talking about the Punishers. We mentioned 2-2 for 10 frames, and then once you hit 11, correct, you got the 4-3. At 14, is it the 1+2 that's at 14, or?
That's correct. So 10 frames is 2-2, 11 frames is 4-3. Both are 32 damage, but you want to do the 4-3 if you can, because you get to cancel into Flamingo by inputting 4-3-3 forward. And then at 14 frames, you get 1+2, 4. 1+2, 4 is 34 damage, so not a whole lot better, but it's really good range. And when you knock the opponent down, you have a free mix-up. They're going to end up face down, head forward. After you land 1+2, 4, you have the option to go for a down 2, the chop, which will hit a grounded opponent. However, they can roll back away from that. So in the event that they do roll back, you can do down 3-3-3 and catch them with the snake kick. I think you may also be able to do down 4-3-3 into Flamingo, and then you have another round of wake-up danger there too.
I'm guessing that's probably more range dependent to get the down 4-3.
Actually, damage-wise, down 3-3-3 is bigger, but if you get the down 4-3-3 canceled into Flamingo, you have better wake-up. Another thing, too, with down 3-3-3, the snake kicks, this could potentially splat them against, since it has pretty decent pickup. So occasionally you get lucky and you're just at the right range where that can happen. And then you could bounce. So that's a good one. 15 frames is where you can start launching opponents, thankfully. Baek has a standard 1/4+2 uppercut. It's safe on block. I think it's -9. However, it does not launch crouching opponents. It'll just kind of give them a little chin-up move. 15, I generally don't worry too much about it until I get to skyrocket range. The skyrocket, the typical notation would be crouch dash 3. However, the skyrocket can also be done quicker by inputting forward +3. Now, this will sound confusing to people, but his standard forward +3 is an axe kick, which you actually get a full combo off of, and it's extremely damaging. Now, if you hit forward, and then hit 3 in the same frame that you hit the second forward, you will get basically a just frame skyrocket. It's not like Horong's in the sense that it doesn't change the properties of the move. It doesn't push back any further. It's still unsafe. If they do block it, you're at a range which may be difficult to punish, and some characters may not be able to punish it, but it doesn't change anything about the move. So that's pretty much what I worry about in frames, just basically those 4 punishers plus the skyrocket.
What's the difficulty rating on that just frame? Is it pretty hard? Is the curve pretty big for that?
I think when you first start doing it, it's a little unique. I'm not sure how many just frames deal with the exact timing of an input with a direction and a button. People familiar with Brian's just frame jet upper, the taunted jet upper, probably would be a lot better with it. But if I'm in game now, I can probably do the skyrocket on command about 2/3 of the time. I feel pretty comfortable with it. The only problem with the skyrocket, the just frame, is that sometimes I'm looking for the axe kick, and I do it so quickly that the skyrocket comes out. And the skyrocket's punishable, the axe kick is not. So occasionally you accidentally leave yourself in a punishable position. So you do have to learn how to differentiate the notation between forward 3 and that just frame skyrocket.
Gotcha. All right, good. So we got the standing punishers. I did want to talk about the wall standing punishers because we got, I would say, a pretty big beef with the wall standing 2-1. to this game. So so I would imagine that, standard while standing 4/4 string when at 11 frames, and then I'm not sure what he gets off of 13. I'm a little shady, but I know it's.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's start with 11 frames then. So if I block a low move, Baek's while standing 4 is 11, which is also fast for a while standing. Not all characters have 11. Now, we should probably talk about while standing 4 a little more, too, because this is probably my favorite move of Baek. And the reason is this. I believe Baek's while standing 4 is the best in the game. The reason I say that is because if I hit my while standing 4, I have a long window with which to hit confirm the second 4. And that's a guaranteed natural combo. I cannot do the second 4 too late and have it blocked if the first one hits. If the second one hits, which it will if the first does, I can then cancel in the Flamingo, and I'm right in your face with a frame advantage and a mix-up opportunity. So while most characters off of 11 frames get, something between 18 and 20 damage with the while standing 4, actually Baek's while standing 4 is only 15. Instead of just getting 15, I get 31 plus a frame advantage mix-up in your face. At which point I can throw, I can go safe mid, I can go low, tons of options. So while standing 4/4 is not just something I'm going to punish you with. It's something when I'm moving around the screen and I'm dashing around, I'm going to quick go into crouch and throw out a while standing 4. If you're approaching range or whatever. And if that move hits, once you get comfortable with the hit confirm, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's really good. So that's a huge staple part of his game. Continuing on the punishers, however, 13 frames, he actually gets while standing 1/3. You're probably not ever going to see me punish with it. While standing 1/3 is the same as his down forward 1/3. So off of this move, I get 28 damage, and I believe I get frame advantage.
It says plus 7 to 8.
Plus 7 or 8. So that's your standard frame advantage after hit going into Flamingo stance. Now, I think instinctively I'm hitting while standing 4/4 more often than I should be. Oftentimes I block a low, and because his while standing 4/4 is so strong, it's not always hardwired in my brain to launch with a punisher. Punish with a launcher. So I'm kind of my own victim in that regard. But 15 frames I get while standing 2/1. While standing 2/1 is much like while standing 4/4 in the sense that it's hit confirmable, and I can't do the second one, the second hit of the string too late and get it blocked. So I can throw out while standing 2, and if it hits, I can possibly react and get the bound right away after that. And then after 15, you have his hop kick. His hop kick can also be used as a standing punisher. I'm not a big fan of his hop kick. First of all, it looks like shit. And I'm talking about up forward 4 hop kick. He just kind of throws his toe at you, and it doesn't look very good. It's 18 frames, and it's minus 10 on hit. So it's nothing too special. You do get more damage from that combo than you do from down forward 2. And then if they really fuck up big time, and you block low, and they're staggered or whatever, you can get up and do a quick skyrocket. I think most of the top-level Baek players, matches you see in Korea, you'll see them pull that off on instinct. And if you can do that, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah. All right, so I think that that sounds like it covers at least the block punishers. But I did want to go back to that the while standing 4 string to kind of tie in with my next question, which would be whiff punishers. Out in the open, somebody's whiff something, and it sounds like sort of like an old school T5 Gon Ryu sort of tactic that you're just kind of moving around, bouncing around, and throwing out while standing 4s just to see if you can get one. But while standing 4, at least for Baek, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, most characters, when they get a while standing 4, yeah, maybe they get a little bit more damage off of the 4. But he has a string that the second 4 will most definitely put him above most characters while standing 4s, and then he can go into his string for more pressure. So it's it's an all-in-one when it comes to a punisher. You have damage, speed, and then you immediately go into your pressure game. So when it comes to like movement and watching for whiffs, is that your normal go-to move, or are you looking for, I don't know, maybe a down forward 2 or something else?
Well, whiff punishing, first of all, Baek has, I believe, really good whiff punishing. As far as what I'm looking for to whiff punish with, it's based off of experience and trusting my reactions. If I happen to be crouching at the time where I see the whiff, yeah, I'll throw a Wild Standing 4 out. I believe his Wild Standing 4 range is better than his Wild Standing 2 range, and it's quicker. In fact, the Wild Standing 4 range kills the Wild Standing 2 range. So now, if I'm in a position where they whiff and I'm standing, I'm in a position where I'm sidestepping or I'm dashing, there's a couple of options. First of all, 1+2, I believe, is a really good whiff punisher. It's got range, it's fast, and plus you got the follow-ups that I was talking about earlier. With 1+2, 4. Another great whiff punisher would be one of his launchers, down back 2. A very underused move by high-level Baek players. But down back 2 has this strange little property where sometimes it might evade a high move if you're at the right axis. But if they're punishing and I'm within range, down back 2, I think it might be 18 frames. I'll look at this real quick. Yeah, 18 frames. Now, the juggle you get off down back 2, you have to be a little careful with. I go with the shitty juggle, just to be safe. Basically, down back 3/3, cancels into Flamingo, 2 sets of jabs and bounds. We'll get into juggles in a little bit, though. Yeah. Otherwise, as far as whiff punishing, I mean, if you leave yourself open, this is where the just frame skyrocket can come into play. Yeah, I'll fucking go for it. And if I miss the just frame, I might get the axe kick, which is slower, but the axe kick, I believe, is +2 on block. And if I do hit the axe kick, I get just about as much damage with that juggle as I do with the skyrocket. So these are all, I think, its strongest whiff punishing options.
Okay. So, well, I guess, since for the most part on at least, hardcore whiffs, you're going to get a launch of some sort. You mentioned the juggle stuff or juggle damage. So I guess let's just talk about juggle damage. I mean, Baek has been known, especially for his wall carry, ever since they brought him back in T5 with the halberd cancels and whatnot. So I guess let's just talk about juggles in general then. So, I know that he's a pretty high juggler with his damage, and he has really good wall carry. So you mentioned, I guess we can just go right into where you were about to go with the what move did you say? Did you say down forward 2? I think.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the down forward 2 launcher. Off of down forward 2, I can get 72 damage. My standard juggle with Baek, I'll do down forward 2, and I will probably always use 4-3-3 forward, which is the 2 kicks that cancel the Flamingo. That's probably his most damaging and safest, most consistent, string to start a juggle with. So after I cancel the Flamingo, there's a couple of options when you're juggling. If I'm going for damage, I'll do 1-2-3 forward, 1-2-3 forward after those kicks. And after that, he'll be in Flamingo, at which point I can bind with back 3 from Flamingo stance. After the bind, I'll run up and do down back 3-3, which cancels and then cancel that into Flamingo, and do 1+2 4. Now, the reason that this does as much damage as it does is because that last 4 from the 1+2 4 string does not count as a juggle hit. It counts as a ground hit for some odd reason. So if you're in practice mode and you do this juggle, you won't see that it counts as an actual combo. However, it's guaranteed. And so that last hit ends up being 12 damage, which pushes the full juggle damage to 72. So that's the standard. And I use that juggle from almost all his basic regular launchers. The other option you can do is go for the reset. In order to do Baek's reset, you have to do 5 hits in the juggle prior to the bound. The first juggle I described was 6. So if I hit you with a hop kick or an uppercut, I'll do 4-3, cancel that string in the Flamingo. Do a down back 3-3, cancel that. 1-2-3, cancel the Flamingo, and then back 3 from Flamingo. From that point, I can do down back 3-3 after the bind, and then I'll do down back 3-3 in the Flamingo again, because if you do not tech roll, that's another pickup. If I pick you up, I can do 4-3 in the Flamingo, the halberd 3+4 in the Flamingo, and I think I can do 2 of those and then a spin kick. But I get a lot of damage off the reset, so it is something I'll occasionally go for in a larger stage or a stage without walls. And I would suggest any Baek player use that juggle because it's easy, it's the most damaging, but it's got great wall carry. If you're doing the Skyrocket, you get the Class 1 launcher. That changes it up a little bit. I will do an up-forward huge hop kick, I guess. Not the launching hop kick, but the one where you jump and then hit right kick.
Yeah, the hold up forward neutral.
Yeah, it's not. There's no neutral.
Yeah, there's no. But I think that's the notation for it, though. Is it like you hold up forward?
There's 2 different ones. There's one where you hold up forward and hit right kick. There's the one where you tap up forward, go back to neutral, and then hit right kick.
Yeah, that's the mini hop. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and with Baek, his up forward neutral 4 doesn't launch, and it does less damage in a juggle than holding up forward 4. So I'll do that, and then you can run up and still do 4-3-3 into Flamingo. And then 3+4 into Flamingo bind, and then finish it off the regular way with down back 3-3, cancel into Flamingo, 1+2, 4. And that juggle would be 91 damage from the Skyrocket. Now, you can also opt to play Wake Up. I would say normally I probably finish the juggle because the juggle is so damn damaging, because you get that last ground hit for 12. But if you don't want to do that, I think his best Wake Up would be crouch dash into while standing 4-4-3, canceling into Flamingo. So at that point, they'll be face up, feet towards. And you have the option to do a chop, do a low poke. Sometimes I like to throw, actually, because a lot of the times they're standing up, expecting to have to block a move, and sometimes they'll stand up and do a throw. That's one tricky thing. As far as standard, OP and Wake Up, you won't see too much fancy things from me. I'll try to hit you on the ground, but I don't do a whole lot of setups. Occasionally, I'll throw a little feint. If you're on the ground and someone's just laying there, I might do 2-3, which is a jab directly into Flamingo stance, and then throw out a down back 3-3, thinking maybe you'll stand up or roll back, and I can pick you up from that. So it's worth it to kind of play around with his different strings and try to find some mind games of your own that you might try to pick someone else up with.
Yeah, it sounds like it's all about like your preference and what kind of OP you like to go for. But it sounds like you're a straight damage guy. You like to just take your guaranteed damage and move on.
For the most part, I do. And I feel comfortable with the spacing that we're at. I think you're not really at much of an advantage when you go for the damage and they stand up. But, it's different playing styles. I think a lot of people who pick up Baek may look to go for more OP just because that's their style. If you come from a character that relies heavily on Wake Up and OP, you'll probably just naturally go for that more often.
Gotcha.
Okay. But aside from juggle movement, let's talk about wall carry a little bit.
Absolutely.
Now, the wall carry, I do not really change what I do for juggles. Basically, the only different thing I'll do is I might stop the 1-2-3 string and just stop with a single jab if I think that they're at a distance away from the wall where one jab is all I need to get them there. Because his damaging juggle has so much wall carry built into it, and that's pretty much as much wall carry as you're probably going to get. You can substitute the jabs with halberds, the 3+4, and then you can hold forward and cancel that into Flamingo. I believe you can do 4-3 and then possibly up to 3 more halberds. Let me see.
Live
yeah, you might not get the last one to hit. But to be honest, I will almost always stick with the jabs, especially in a tournament. I feel comfortable with the jabs. I know they're going to hit. They work at any axis, and it's up to me to judge the distance from the wall to know if I should, stop the string or just throw one jab to finish it. Once they hit the wall in the air, I try and get the bound at the wall. A couple of Baek players try to get the early bound. One that comes to mind is Just Frame James. I do not trust myself to gauge the distance between my opponent and the wall that well to feel comfortable doing that. So I'm probably going to try to get you to the wall. If I bind you in front of the wall, he has a couple of pretty good options to get you to the wall from there. The first one I'll probably go for is 4-3-3, canceling the Flamingo. His basic 4-3 will push an opponent really far into the wall. Plus, it cancels in the Flamingo. I can do the spin kick, and then follow it up with a 4-4 to ground. Another option, once they're bound to get them to the wall, would be down 4-4. It's a low-high string that has really good pushback that can get them to the wall very well. And if they're a little closer, you can try and dash up and do a down back 2. Kind of an advanced move. I wouldn't really recommend to try it right away, but it does work.
So why, a real quick question, why does Just Frame James or other players like him, why are they trying to bound before the wall? Is there like the snake kicks that you mentioned earlier? Is that what they're trying to go for, or why would you do that?
I'm pretty sure he gets a little bit more damage. So I think you might see him do 4-3-3 to start the juggle, and then immediately bound from Flamingo. Or maybe he'll do 4-3-3 jab, and then forward 4-3 to cancel the Flamingo. Forward 4 and forward 3 are two axe kicks that both bind. They both do more damage than Flamingo back 3. So I tend to see him use those. And then after he gets the bind, he'll do the halberds and try and take him to the wall with those. If he can get him to the wall, he'll go for a spin kick and then finish the string there. So you will get maybe another couple points of damage doing that. You really have to trust the positioning and know where you're at for sure. Me personally, I'm not as good of an all-around Tekken player as Just Frame James is, so I feel comfortable just trying to get him to the wall and then bind him once they hit the wall. So if I'm able to float you to the wall, I will run up if I have to, get a bind. The most damaging bind is forward plus 3. I'll go for the axe kick if I can. From that point, you want to do the Flamingo spin kick. Flamingo spin kick is back 3, forward 3. The back 3 to go into Flamingo and the forward 3 to do the kick. You have to do this pretty fast, so it does take a little bit of practice. But after that spin kick connects, you can hit 4-4, and what that'll do is ground them in front of the wall. Now, this is where Baek gets dangerous. He has a very good wall game at this point. Once I'm able to ground the opponent in front of the wall, I have a straight-up 50-50. I can do the chop down 2. If they just lay on the ground or roll or whatever, that chop is going to hit them. They have to stand up and block the chop. However, if they stand up to block, I can just do a right kick. For some weird reason, that right kick will splat them as they try to stand up against the wall. And then not only do I get the right kick, but then I can do down 4-4 again. So it's a straight-up 50-50, and both options are really good. Another good thing about it, too, is that if they stand up and get hit by the down 2 somehow, if they try to block low or attack, I can then follow up with 4-3 into Flamingo, 4-4 to ground them again. And that's like 60 damage. It's filthy.
That sounds pretty nasty. Okay.
So that's basically what I'm looking for at the wall. If you stick with those two options, there's really nothing else you need to do at the wall with Baek.
Okay. Let's say that, just out of curiosity, let's say that their back is against the wall, but you're not there from any sort of juggle circumstance. You're just there, and their back is against the wall. What kind of good wall splats do you have?
Well, if you watch Baek, one thing you're going to notice is that you won't see very many wall splats. It's unfortunate, but it's just one of the weaker parts of his game. The wall splats he does have. Flamingo forward 3, that spin kick I was just talking about, that's probably his best wall splat move and fastest. Another one is his homing kick, forward plus 3 plus 4. That's a probably his fastest wall sliding move out of stance. He also has down forward 3-4. Down forward 3-4 is completely hit confirmable, and I can't do the second hit too late once again. So if that first down forward 3 hits, I can just react and hit the 4 and get a wall slide from that. So if an opponent has a back to the wall and I feel like they're not going to counter me for whatever reason, I'll throw out a down forward 3, and if it hits, I can try and react and get the wall splat on it. If you do get a wall splat with down forward 3-4, you're looking at over 100 damage for the combo. I can backdash after the wall splat, do 4-3, cancel the Flamingo, get the bind, and then do 4-3 again, cancel the Flamingo down 4-4, and it's filthy.
So with because you just mentioned he doesn't really have a whole lot of wall sliding options. Are you usually looking for that when their back is against the wall, or are you just trying to maybe do some string pressure or some poke pressure? What would be the best thing to go for in that situation?
I'll probably try to do a down forward 3 if they are right back at the wall. I guess the good thing about it too is they don't have to be directly back against the wall for this to work, because hitting the first down forward 3 will push them back a little bit. Then that second kick is what actually wall slats him. So you get a little bit of room. If I notice he's back on the wall, the problem is down forward 3 is pretty slow. It is a move that I like to cancel a lot, however. Put some pressure on with down forward 3, hold forward to cancel it, and you're basically just dashing into their face. I'll go for it. But for the most part, I'm usually playing my regular game. To jump forward into Tekken Tag 2, what I'm looking forward to is that his back 4, which is now just a standard launcher, that move is going to wall splat on regular hit. And I believe I read it safe, but that sounds too good to be true. So
yeah, that sounds a little ridiculous for a launcher like that, straight up mid launcher to be safe.
Well, and they changed the properties. Back 4 does not launch on regular hit in Tekken Tag 2 anymore. It only launches on counter hit, which I'm okay with because I get a wall splat on regular hit now, which is 16 frames, and Baek doesn't have a 16-frame wall splat right now. So, but I'm not going to go into Flamingo stance and do forward 3, the spin kick. I'm not going to do that looking for a wall splat because, if it's blocked, I'm in a precarious position. Granted, we're even frames, and, it's kind of mind games at that point, but, it seems to be, why would you want to waste the opportunity of having the opponent at their back? So,
gotcha. Okay. So, I guess we're kind of talking about positioning and Oki. So, I guess my next question would be, since we've only covered it a little bit, would be his grab game. We talked about the grab that's out of Flamingo, but I'm fairly certain. I think at least one of his other grabs gives him decent Oki.
Yes. That would be the judo hip toss. I only use 4 Baek throws. I'm sorry, 5 Baek throws. Obviously the standard 1+3, 2+4. The forward 2+3 grab that works from Flamingo stance as well. That's pretty much his staple. Another great use of it is that it's a position changer. So if I have my back at the wall, even if you escape my forward 2+3 grab, now your back is at the wall. And if I do connect with the throw, your back is to the wall. So it's a position change every time you connect with the throw, whether or not they break it. Another throw that I like is forward +2. It's a dashing throw, which is always nice. It's a 2 break and it does nice little damage. You don't get good LP off of it because you end up back turned while he's on the ground. And the other throw I'll use is down back +1+3. That's a 12 break. It's a quick throw animation too. Basically, Baek just throws him over your hip, and immediately I'm standing over you in a pretty good OP position. So from that point, I can't necessarily do a guaranteed down 2, but I do think a down +3 is guaranteed. But I may just try and sidestep. Sometimes someone might try and get sneaky and kick me on their way up. So sometimes it's good to just kind of maybe do a quick Flamingo sidestep. Jump over, throw another low poke out. Any one of those things can work.
So how I know that the Oki on the forward 2-3 grab isn't the best. Is the Oki any good on his regular grabs, on his standard grabs?
Well, let's see. His 1+3. gives you good ulti against the wall. If you do 1+3 in the open, you don't get anything guaranteed. They are face up, head forward. So, you got to be a little cautious. Granted, they could get up and low kick and juggle you. It's 2+4, actually, going back to the 1+3. Back is to the wall, and I do 1+3. Depending on the axis, when I stand up, I'm closer to you than I normally would be, at which point I believe there's got to be a guaranteed low poke there. The 2+4 throw is something I like to use when my opponent's back is to the wall. Basically, he runs up his chest and kicks him in the face. Now, when you're in the middle of the stage, it pushes them pretty far back. They can stand up, and you have no wake-up. However, if their back is to the wall, I can do a 2+4, and now they are face down, head forward, but I'm right on top of them with small frame advantage. So when their back's to the wall, if you're looking to throw, that's a pretty good option. You would rather do that than 4+2+3, which, like I said, guarantees a position change.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, let's see. Kind of going over my list here. I think.
Now, what haven't we covered yet?
That's what I'm looking for right here. Okay, so one thing that I can see here. So we've talked about how his strings, like you can see the holes in his strings and everything. But I'm curious what if he has any other really big glaring weaknesses, because I believe that if you stick with if you don't go too crazy into his move list, his tracking is pretty good. His range seems to be pretty good. And I think the only big question, if I'm looking at everything correctly, would be like safety on occasion. You mentioned the skyrocket is punishable. If you're not really good at hit confirming certain things, they can be pretty punishable. Like the wall standing 2-1, that's punishable. Down back 2, I know that's punishable. But aside from that, as long as you're careful with that, it doesn't seem like he's too bad in the punishment area. It seems like he's pretty safe. So are there, for people who are picking up Baek, are there any sort of areas that you would recommend that they watch out for and be really careful about?
Well, for beginners, I think just playing Baek and playing Baek against people who don't know him that well, you have a lot of options. At higher level play, Baek does have disadvantages. A lot of his moves that don't seem like they should be punishable are. For instance, his homing kick, forward +3/+4. It's got decent range, not great. It's a slow move, I think it's like 27 damage. But it's -10 on block. So here we have a homing move, which is, his tracking is decent, particularly, like while standing 4, forward 3 axe kick, but he is weak, mainly to his left side, for the most part. Another move too, back 1, which is a move that is nice, guns on counter hit, that's -11. So many of his things are punishable. I mean, if you do that snake kick string, down 3/3, if you finish with the mid, you can get interrupted. And someone with a good long-range punisher can hurt you. If you finish with the low, you're going to get launched, and if it gets blocked. And that's pretty much all his strings. One exception to that, an underused string that I think I should even use more often is 3/4/3. You can also do 1-2-3-4-3. Basically, 3/4 is a high-low. The low is like -11 on block, so punishable but not bad. Not even all characters can punish it. Plus, that last 3, if you do 3/4/3, is a mid-launcher, and it'll push him back pretty far. I don't think I've really been punished with that too often, if ever. But no, if you're a beginner looking out, for new things, I would just say try almost everything. I mean, that's a big part of it, is understanding what your opponent does know and doesn't know. Don't give them too many opportunities to learn. Obviously, if you're going to abuse the same string over and over, many opponents will catch on. If you're fortunate, they might not. So my encouragement is always to try everything. and if all else fails, you have plenty of one-hit little strings and pokes to fall back on.
Gotcha. Well, that was really my only, I think I covered at least everything that we typically cover. So I guess I'll just kind of throw an open question out to you. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that Baek players, or either whether they're playing or playing against, that they should know?
Sure. Backtracking a little bit, going back to offensive starters, that halberd, if you do 3+4 and hold forward, if that's blocked, you have frame advantage. So most opponents are going to try to attack after you do that. I mean, you're right in their face. They just block the high move. Oftentimes they think they're at advantage and they're not. Going down my notes, Baek is such a strong character for hit confirms. I think he has some of the best hit confirms in the game. We talked about while standing 4-4 at length. Talked about forward 2-1, while standing 2-1, and down forward 3-4. These are all hit confirms that you cannot be too late on the second hit with. And if mastered, are all very dangerous. So anybody picking up Baek needs to absolutely master his hit confirms in order to be competitive at a high level. We didn't spend 30 minutes on the Flamingo hop kick like I was hoping.
The forward 3?
Yeah, so if you're in Flamingo stance, he has a hop kick up forward 3. It's a great move. It tracks all directions. It gives great damage for juggles. It is -14, however, so if you're playing a Brian, you don't want to throw it out. Unfortunately, they made that move launch punishable in Tekken Tag too. So enjoy the Flamingo hop kick now, because every time it's blocked, it'll launch in the next game, which sucks, but, I'd rather them maybe remove tracking to one side or something. Making it launch punishable is really going to hurt that move. On the other hand, they did make it a really high launch when it does hit in Tekken Tag 2, which is pretty sweet. You can tag off of it. Another big thing, Baek has a lot of stuns. Usually your basic crumple stuns that are escapable. So if I do any variation of the Albatross, which is while standing 4-4-3 or down forward 4-4-3, and there's a number of ways to get into this string. You can look at his move list and find it. But that third kick, the mid-3, stuns on counter hit. It is escapable, but if they do not escape it, I can run up and do 4-3, cancel that into Flamingo and get a juggle off of it. He does have one inescapable stun that is down forward 3 on counter hit. If that hits, you get 4-3. Basically, you just do your standard juggle. As many launchers as Baek has, his juggles are pretty much always the same because 4-3 is so good.
Because, it picks up so low.
Even when you do the axe kick, forward 3. In Tekken 5, all you could do was down 4-3-3, which was okay, but not much. In this game, you just dash up and do 4-3-3. Now, you don't always have to dash. You do at a certain range, but it's a miraculous move in the way it picks up. It's almost too good. So in addition to that, the down 4-3-3 string that we talked about earlier, that last mid hit will also stun on counter hit. Escapable, but it's a nice stun to have in there anyway. I think in Tekken Tag 2 they removed that stun for down 4-3-3, which is disappointing, but I barely ever hit it anyway. And the other stun is back +1. Back +1 is a little evasive move. Goes very well with the triple side step. If I do Flamingo back 1, I'm evading a lot, everything to the right basically. And if you get a counter hit at the correct axis, and they don't escape the stun, I get an uppercut into a juggle. So if you hit that combination of back 1 into an uppercut, you get 97 damage, I believe. So that's pretty good. You can go for that.
Yeah, that's pretty beefy.
That's pretty much all that I have. I would like to point out to the community that I've been off of the Baek forums a lot lately. I was in there a lot throughout 2010, 2011, dropping as much knowledge as I could, but it ticked a little bit.
Yeah, no, T6 is it's kind of on its downward spiral. Everyone is they're prepping up for Tag 2, and they're reading up on that, getting hyped for that. So I think that the forums, especially the strategy forums for T6, are probably a little vacant right now. But since it sounds like, okay, so I think that we covered pretty much everything for Baek in T6, but you kind of already started to talk about the Tag 2 stuff, so let's just go there since that's what everyone wants to talk about. So you mentioned the back 4 changes earlier, and then you just mentioned the Flamingo hop kick. So what other big changes are you reading about or that you're seeing in any videos that you're watching?
Well, for the most part, it seems like Baek players have reached a consensus that Baek is worse in Tekken Tag 2. I think that's silly because, the game is so young. Mm-hmm. Most people making these claims haven't even played the game. I think Tekken Tag 2 is probably going to be the kind of game very similar to T6 where everybody's pretty damn dangerous. So they didn't remove enough from Baek's game that I think it's really going to hurt him all that much. Obviously, the Flamingo hop kick change hurts. It's going to be a move that's still worth doing at times. It still crushes lows. It's hella damaging, and
he makes a really awesome scream.
I know, and he makes the same sound every time, and it's pretty epic.
Yeah.
So you can keep doing it. A huge change for Baek is his Flamingo forward 3 spin kick now gives an inescapable crumple stun on counter hit. So it looks like the same stun that you get with down forward 3 on counter hits in Tekken 6. This stun with the spin kick allows you to run up and do 4-3-3, your standard juggle, into jabs or however you want to finish the juggle. So I don't know if they changed the frame properties as far as what it is on block or hit. Currently in Tekken 6, that move is even on block. It doesn't look like it. You wouldn't think it would be, but it is. So that's actually a position where I might go for the down back 4 sweep afterwards. A lot of players, trying to quickly jab, trying to reestablish themselves. If you do a spin kick that gets blocked, you immediately sweep. You have a pretty dangerous move on your hands. And I don't think I really talked about the sweep too much, other than the fact that I can get a lot of damage off of it. Basically, it is a slow move, and you're going to be screwed if the guy knows how to punish it correctly. But it's almost worth it because you get such a high damaging combo. What I do after the sweep is down back 4, and then you stay crouched and do a low 2 jab, and then dash in to cancel the crouch, and then do 4-3. And if you do it correctly, you'll pick them up. Then you can do a halberd, bind with back 3 from Flamingo, and then finish it off with down back 3-3, 1+2, 4. And that, it's a low launcher that does almost 80 damage. It's, even at high level play, I've had a lot of success with it. So I would encourage any Black player to spend a lot of time learning that combo. I'll literally sit in practice mode and do that combo until I get it 25 times in a row. And until I get it 25 times in a row, I won't stop playing. Sometimes that's, a couple minutes. Sometimes it's like an hour. But very integral.
Well, yeah, and with so many people spamming, really good highs and jabs, and stuff like Magic 4 or, Steve's back 1, stuff like that. The fact that it's a low is good, but, the fact that it goes under highs is even better. So,
really, it goes into some mids, and I think, given Baek's pressure game and the lack of really strong lows that he has, other than pokes, players are generally okay with stand blocking against Baek. Looking for the Flamingo throw and just kind of dealing with it, and looking for holes in his strings. If you're doing custom strings and you pull that sweep out of a Flamingo stand, it sounds silly to say because it is a 21 frame low, but it hits way more often than you think it would. So, plus, when it gets blocked, you're so low to the ground to the stagger that many standard launchers won't work. Players will actually have to delay their launcher to wait for you to get up and do a range where they can hit you. So very, very often in tournaments, that move will get blocked and then it doesn't get punished. It's one of those moves where on paper it looks awful, but it has its use.
Gotcha. All right. Well, any other big Tag 2 news that you can think of that you didn't already say?
Yeah, he has a move now that's very similar to a Horong. Now, so when Baek's in Flamingo stance, they changed his 3-3 string. I love Flamingo 3-3 in Tekken 6. As I said before, it's 2 mid moves, good damage, and it's safe track. Now in T6, if you do 3 from Flamingo stance, you get a mid kick. If you hit 3-3 and then hold forward, he does that quick little mid kick and then goes right back into Flamingo. It's very similar to Horong's, I believe it's 3 forward from Flamingo stance. It's basically the same thing with a different location. You can still do the Flamingo 3-3 4 string. However, you now have to do Flamingo 3-3 down 4. Plus that second kick, so the second 3 in that string is now high. So it's actually mid-high, and then you have a low option. I don't know if I like this change yet. I think having the ability to do extra pressure with a quick Flamingo kick that goes directly back into Flamingo can be dangerous. I've heard some pretty positive things about the properties of that move, so I am looking forward to experimenting with it.
How do you think he's going to be now that he's back in a tag setting? Do you think, because I mean obviously you'd have him for as when it comes to the partner relationship, like you'd want to focus on his big tag options or juggle options and wall carry. How do you think he's going to pair up against the rest of the cast?
It's difficult for me to say. I don't think Baek was a very good tag character in Tekken Tag. I mean, very rarely would I ever be able to launch somebody and tag out off of it, because I mean, you have down 3-3-3 was you could tag off of a couple other moves, but nothing that I would really use very often. He's going to have some more options to tag off of in Tag 2. I haven't really looked at the list. Obviously, like things like the Flamingo hop kick, you can tag out on. The Skyrocket, you can tag out on that. I haven't seen much as far as tag assault combos to really see what Baek is capable of. One new move that I saw, which is going to be good for wall carries and the like, is he has a new forward 4. His current forward 4 is a big heel kick that hits grounded opponents. It actually gives you frame advantage on block when they're standing, but it leaves them at a range and you can't do much with it. They changed that now to a homing mid kick that looks pretty nice. You can also do forward 4-3. Now this is a mid-high. It's safe. They can easily duck the second hit. I don't see this move being very dangerous, just at the standing position. But it looks like you can wall carry off of it too. So after someone does a bind, I can run up to forward 4-3, and that'll take him into the wall. Plus, if the first hit hits, the second is guaranteed, and it wall splat. So it seems like it might be a good whiff punisher. If their back's to the wall and they're panicking, hit a button. Maybe I can sneak in a forward +4, get that 3 to wall splat, and that's going to be a lot of damage. So looking forward to that as well. Beyond that, I can't think of a whole lot of changes that they've made off the top of my head. I guess I really just look forward to picking the game up and learning what I can do. I think as a Baek player, seeing how dangerous Horong is in Tekken Tag 2, I've already started learning Horong, and if I can expose that unblockable bullshit in a tournament, I might.
Oh yeah, that stuff looks so stupid. I really hope
it really does, and I feel like I'm very mixed on it because I do have a smidgen of honor in my play, and, but in the sense of tournaments, if it's available and it's legal, why not? It's bullshit, but I've been considering it.
Well, hey, TK, Team Korea is got to be strong in this new Tekken. So,
right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, and you can believe for certain, coming September, October, I'm going to be all over the forums, helping people out, learning myself, and posting a lot of vids up.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I have. If you don't have any more Tekken Tag stuff or any T6 stuff, that's all I have for the character discussion. So I take it that you ran through all your notes? You didn't miss anything, or?
Yeah, the few notes I did take.
That's okay. Most people just wing it, so I'm glad that you took notes to begin with. We've only had a couple people that have actually had really extensive notes. It's mostly off memory, which is a good thing, because I mean it's one of those things where when you're talking about characters in a game, in a fighting game like this, you don't want to be looking at notes every other second. You want it to be natural, just knowledge that you are instantly putting into play.
And like we could have this interview all over, and there's probably other moves I would have brought up that I didn't now, and there's moves that I did mention that I probably wouldn't have. So, it's all about the flow.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing for Baek players is, first of all, learning your execution, making sure you have the cancels down pat, learning which strings you should be using and experimenting with, and then after you have the juggles down pat, I think the most advanced part that players will eventually learn is the poking game and the rhythm of pokes with Baek and what works, and what poke strings create holes and which ones are more difficult to deal with. And it's a lot of experience. It's difficult to see a video of a Baek player and really understand what's happening, because I posted videos up where I fucking hit that low sweep like 3 or 4 times, and I'll get comments like, "Oh, that's shitty. Way to go for the sweep 5 or 6 times in the same match." And it's like, yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
I mean, if I did it and I got punished for it, I wouldn't have done it, but it works. And the same with the down 4-3-3 string. Oh, nice down 4-3-3 strings. Fuck you, it's working. I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at the game and what you're willing to do to try to win.
Yeah. No, and we've mentioned that many times on the podcast in the past, that it's all about what your opponent can and cannot do, and especially with a sweep like that, it's worth it. I mean, you're getting so much damage to try that, and if they can't deal with it, that's huge for you. Whether or not the move is good or not on paper is irrelevant. If it's good against your opponent, that's the only thing that matters. Kind of to wrap up the end of the podcast, I always like to have this little segment at the end where I call it sound off, but I just want to know what makes you angry. Now, you just talked about some comments that you get on your gameplay, so I'm wondering if maybe that might come in here. But yeah, I want to give you a little soapbox and just tell us what makes you mad, what would make you take a big plasma TV and crash it on the ground. Like it makes you that irritated. It doesn't have to be gaming related, but just whatever makes you seething.
Well, Scott, I consider myself a pretty complacent person. I don't get too upset. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. But if there's one thing I can get upset about, it's fucking online Tekken players thinking they're the shit. And I don't know why it bothers me still. It shouldn't. It doesn't fucking matter what they think because they're scrubs, but occasionally, you get someone who thinks they're hot shit because they beat you online. And, the game online is so much different. It's basically an entirely different game as far as I'm concerned. So I've had a run-in in the past with a guy on the forums who, spirited Baek player. He's pretty decent, but he thinks he's way better than he is. So I think Baek players in general are a little egotistical. I don't know what it is. I think maybe we think we know this magic black art of Flamingo that nobody else can get, and it makes us special. Not really sure what that is, but so it does seem like Baek players are more proud of themselves than the average Tekken player.
That's funny. Yeah, I expect more of those online players to come out of the woodwork once Tag 2 hits, because from all indications, it's going to have the same netcode as Caliber, which means it's gonna be a hell of a lot better than it is now. That's for damn sure. But I expect a lot of people to play online.
And it'll be interesting because I would imagine there's still some difference, So how little of a difference does there have to be in order to be able to equate real live Tekken to online Tekken?
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally don't play Soul Calibur. I know there's for the most part, like, your quickest low moves are a little slower than they are in Tekken. So I don't know if the same low moves that are seeable in person on Tekken are necessarily going to be seeable online.
Yeah.
Because some of them are pretty fast.
Yeah. No,
how many online noobs we can put in their place once this new netcode comes out.
Well, the big difference, and I can tell you this right now, from Caliber to Tekken, at least when it's as it pertains to online play. You mentioned that just moves sort of in general are a little bit slower in Caliber. Not a huge thing, but I mean just a few frames depending on the characters that you're looking at. But one of the big things in Caliber or in Tekken that is not as prevalent in Caliber is the punishing game, especially block punishing. And I think that you're going to have a lot of players who, like the movement of the game, at least right now in T6, like even if you're trying to move online, it's so choppy, it's just terrible. And I think that's going to clear up once Tag 2 comes out. But I think a lot of the newer players that are going to be playing online, they're not going to have as strong of a punishing game as the offline players, because even that little 1-2 frame difference or the little bit of lag that you get, it's going to prevent you from, jab punishing, or, maybe you have something that's exactly -15 that you can launch on and you need to be able to punish it, and they're not going to be able to get those big punishes. So I expect that to be a huge difference. But aside from that, I expect it to be at least playable so that people can get some experience. But I mean, it's still online. It's not perfect, but it's an improvement. It's at least they're trying to make it better. That's I guess that's my.
I think you bring up a fantastic point about the block punishing. I think this generation of online gamers, to them Tekken is attacking, and that's how they were brought up with the online play, and because that's how it is. I mean, he who attacks and has the more confusing strings and has the better moves is probably going to win, especially when we don't have great players. So these guys are getting away with doing everything under the sun online, even though it's punishable, and they're not even thinking in terms of punishment. So even if they block moves, your reaction in order to punish has to be better online than it does in person, so they probably never learned it. Yeah. Now, I hate to pick on Mr. Taxi. I know he was on your last show. Yeah. But he was the first to tell me after our matches at the Baek match tournament, he's like, I don't punish. And, I mean, if you would watch the games, you're like, wow, man, I really should have been exposing this more. Because as someone who started playing online, block punishment was not a focus of theirs. It's more offense and what can I do to trick this guy, which is great. I mean, it worked for him, and I think he's a really good player. But, you're never going to be a great player unless you get those block punishment and those types of facets into your game.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm sure he's better at it than he was, and he's only going to improve. And I look forward to playing the guy again, because we had some really good matches at that tournament. We had to play twice. I beat him the first time, and then played him in the losers bracket. Went down to the final round. I dropped 2 juggles, and
the rest is history.
Got eaten up by some, like the same sweet move over and over. Happens.
Yeah.
I'm not the best tournament player, but I can hang with anybody in casual, so it's all good.
Yeah, as long as you feel good about your play, I guess. And it's really crazy to see the difference. Like I know in Caliber, like it's so offensively heavy in that game. And I run into a lot of people, like if you watch like the top players play at tournaments and stuff, and you'll notice that that's a really big difference between them and just random online heroes, is that they understand the frames, they know exactly how much time they have to attack, they know what to punish with, and even though in Caliber punishing isn't a huge, like as big a deal as it is in Tekken, it still is big. And
right.
If you're not on point with that stuff, you're missing a lot of damage, and you're putting yourself in a bad position. So it'll be interesting. I'm just glad that we're getting a new Tekken game. I've actually said this before, I'm not really super excited about the ridiculous amounts of damage that that this game seems to favor, but it's still a Tekken Tag game, so it should be fun. And I'm super excited now that I found out that that skinny ogre is gonna be in the game, because he looks amazing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Baek ogre was my fallback team in Tekken Tag, and I once there's a Baek player from Minnesota called Shavit, and I played him in a Baek challenge, and basically he whooped my Baek. I tagged an ogre and won. And I have fond memories of that team, and I believe I'll probably use them at some point in Tekken Tag too. And from what I saw, it looks like Ogre's pretty decent.
Well, that was my big thing when I first started. You know, I played last year. I played a little bit of Tag 2 because they had it at Evo, and you know, obviously that was a very, very vanilla version of it. But you know, I played that a little bit, and they only had a limited cast. Big Ogre looked dumb. I mean, he didn't look like anything that he was in Tag 1. Like he didn't have any of that greatness about him. So and I was an Ogre player, and I really liked Ogres in Tag 1, and he just looked like ass. But Skinny Ogre, he looks like he's still got some of that Tag 1 bustedness. And I'm really not. I'm like on the Armor King changes. I really wanted to play Armor King, but he looks still kind of. So yeah, I don't know. Ogre alone has made me excited for this game, and we'll have to see what Angel looks like too. Because my original Tag 1 team was Ogre Devil. So if Angel is anything like Devil, that'll be my team for Tag 2. But we'll just have to see.
This is really interesting because I think when we went from Tag into Tekken 4 and Tekken 5, we did see a lot of new high-level players. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see how many new high-level players there are with this game, because now here we are going from a single-character game to a two-character game, assuming nobody uses that 2-on-1 bullshit in tournaments.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many players who are top level right now are going to be exposed because they don't have a strong second character. Mm-hmm. And then how many players who are pretty good with one character are also pretty good with two characters and may now be competing at a high level.
Yeah.
So I think, even as a spectator, it'll be really interesting to see how the scene develops. And really, if it does energize the base as much as we're hoping it does. I haven't seen this new practice mode, where they're supposed to teach you Tekken or whatever, but, from what I hear, it's not perfect, but if it's something that can get people learning, the basics even, because it's things like that. It's things like understanding, when you can punish, when stuff that you do is punishable. That's so important, and unless you are training with someone who's experienced in the game, you'll never know that.
Yeah.
So,
no, absolutely.
I'm hoping, but if we can just rely on some of the old players to come back out of the woodwork and make it a huge scene again, that would be great. I think the fighting game community has developed so much, since the last Tekken Tag game. It seems like we have the evolution of this super tournament where, there's tons of 2D and 3D games, similar to last weekend with UFGP. Mm-hmm. It seems like we're seeing more of these tournaments pop up. And I don't know if we're ever going to have, just a Tekken tournament, where it's all only Tekken players. Yeah. It seems like that's part of the past, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, at least we should have a lot more Tekken players playing, or at least people playing Tekken Tag 2, because, I mean, if for no other reason, people love their tag games. They love games where they can have more than one character. So,
right.
So I mean, I think that's because you have all these Marvel players, and I think Street Fighter X Tekken is kind of getting people a little, even though for the most part it's been a flop, but it's starting to get people interested in the whole tag system with Tekken characters. So I see the intrigue building a little bit for a lot of people. So I think we'll see an influx of new players, more so than we did for Tekken 6. So if nothing else, turnouts should at least be pretty decent, which is always a good thing, because you don't want to play in a 12-man tournament. That's just kind of boring. But
realistically, yeah, Tekken 6 is pretty dead right now. But I mean, it's been out for how many years now? Over 4 years.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. Yeah.
So, and it was just a year and a half ago where we had 40, 50 people in a Midwest tournament.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're going to get those numbers again. I don't see what's going to keep it from happening. A big part of me wants a lot of the 2D crowd to think they're good at Tekken and start playing.
That's what I want too. I'm in the same boat. I really want that to happen. But yeah.
I have my opinions about 2D versus 3D, and I'm sure they'd be controversial to many. I don't feel like 2D fighters are going to be able to make the transition to a 3D game like Tekken as easily as maybe a Tekken player would be able to go to a 2D game. Now, I still think they're very different, and I have respect for the skill of both, but I think you're frying a totally different fish when you come over to Tekken from something like, SFXT.
Yeah. Well,
or NBC.
well, not to mention that Street Fighter X Tekken is just asshole. That game is just retardedly stupid. But It is what it is, I guess. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I always like to give my guest a little, last word. If you have any shout outs or anything that you want to say before we put it in in the ground. So if you have anything to say or any shout outs to give, please do so now.
Shout outs to Team Wisconsin. Probably wouldn't be on the podcast without the guys. Mateo Galvin, Antonio, Sammy, whoever else used to play. Shout outs to Late Massacre for being the one to invite me to that tournament earlier this year. That was the best Tekken experience, like I said. Shout outs to Slutch, who helped me out at the Power Up tournament, picking me up from the airport, hosting me. He deserves big ups for that. I think it's Slooch, by the way. I probably said Slutch again. He's just gonna laugh, but
yeah, it's Slooch because it's part of his last name, which is Sloocher.
Right.
So yeah, it's Slooch.
Shout out to the California crew, Rip, Eris. Even though all I ever said to Eris was that he's a bitch. Fuck any player who's still playing Tekken and devoted to getting better. I mean, let's keep this shit going. Tag 2's only going to be better, so. Let's keep it up.
Yeah, and you'll have a pretty strong scene there in Wisconsin. Actually, for those who aren't following Caliber, Wisconsin is not a one game state. Although Mystic Bill is technically Indiana. Aside from Lost Providence, who won UFGT, Mateo came second, and then I believe Bill got third. Right? I think.
I think Bill in fourth, Mateo in second.
Who's third?
Mateo is definitely a top tier SoCal player,
yeah.
and it's very possible he could win a major at that game. So,
yeah.
I'm glad to be from that area, I guess. I do live in Milwaukee, for those who don't know. It's not necessarily a Tekken hotspot, but as far as Midwest goes, we were a powerhouse of sorts for a little bit.
Yeah, and you have Chicago that's just a stone's throw away, so a lot of competition in that area.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that scene can grow too, because there's many people that live in Chicago. I mean, you'd expect to have a bigger scene from that city.
Yeah.
They tapered off of Tekken a lot earlier than we did in Wisconsin. So hopefully they'll come back. Oh, and Scott, big shout out to you too for getting fifth in that tournament last weekend. Pretty good result, man.
With my fucking cheesy ass Fang.
Was nobody blocking those sidestep fours or what?
Well, I did sidestep 4 a little bit. It was mostly I was just being really, really cheesy stupid with Fang. Like when I play Fang, I play him very much like the paper strong stuff, like lots of forward 2, lots of jabs, lots of 2-4, lots of up forward 2. Down to all of the really, really cheesy, annoying shit. Like that's what I do. But both of my losses came from the same person in the game. And for whatever reason, I could not adapt to Law very, very well at all. And his Law and just Magic 4s and stuff were just eating me up. So, but I'm excited for Tag too. Forget this T6 stuff. I want to play my ogre and be even more cheesy than I am now. So that's how we'll. But okay. Well, thanks again for coming on the podcast. Great shout outs, and I'll have to echo those shout outs. Wisconsin, very close to Iowa. We love our Midwest scenes around here. So thanks for repping and going out to the Invitational. That was you're absolutely right. That was fun stuff. It was really interesting to keep an eye on that stuff. And for those listening, like I said, we have. If you don't include this podcast, we only have 4 characters left for T6. And then I'll try to start getting into the redos for some of the weaker podcasts that we had. Hopefully, Tekken Tag 2 is very, very, very close. September release is what we've been told. So we're in June now, so you're thinking 3 months, so not very long at all before we start getting into that. And I do have some special stuff planned for Tag 2 once we get into those podcasts, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, thank you for tuning in. We hope you learned a little bit about Baek, and we will be back again in a couple weeks. And other than that, we will catch you later. Thanks for listening.